hours after being sworn in as the 46th President of the United States, Joe Biden will sign roughly a dozen executive orders and also roll back some of the most controversial decisions of his predecessor, Donald Trump. On his first day in office, Biden has promised to end the Muslim ban that went into effect a week after Donald Trump took office in 2017. The policy restricted people from 7 mostly Muslim-majority countries from entering into the US. It was later extended to 6 more countries. US authorities said that the restrictions were applied because the countries failed to meet US security standards. But according to Biden, the ban served as a racist agenda rather than a national security purpose.
Muslim communities were the first to feel Donald Trump's assault on black and brown communities in this country with his vile Muslim ban. If I have the honor of being president, I will end the Muslim ban on day 1.
Biden has also vowed to rejoin the Paris Agreement aimed at tackling the impacts of climate change. Originally signed by 195 nations in 2015, the countries were committed to limiting global warming by 1.5 degrees Celsius. The deal called on nations to spend $100 billion per year on climate-related issues starting in 2020. In 2020, the US officially withdrew from the deal in a move that shocked many. Trump said staying in the agreement would harm the US economy and jobs while giving other countries a financial advantage. But the US is the world's second largest emitter of greenhouse gases, behind China, and therefore has a key responsibility to reduce the effects of climate change. Biden has pledged to spend $2 trillion on a climate change plan. Biden is set to send a new immigration bill to the Congress within his first 100 days in office, which will prioritize legal status for millions of undocumented immigrants. The plan is the polar opposite of Trump, whose successful 2016 presidential campaign rested in part on curbing or stopping illegal immigration. If successful, the legislation would be the biggest move towards granting status to people in the country illegally since 1986, when President Ronald Reagan granted amnesty to nearly 3 million people. Biden also wants to create permanent protection for young immigrants in the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals program, known as Dreamers. The program currently provides deportation protection and other benefits to approximately 645,000 people. Trump's administration tried to end the DACA, but was prevented in federal court. The Biden team has a detailed plan to combat the coronavirus pandemic. They are committed to getting 100 million shots in people's arms in the first 100 days of Biden's presidency. $20 billion will be spent on the national vaccination program. Biden will also sign an executive order that will require Americans to wear masks in places such as federal buildings and when traveling interstate. On the foreign policy front, all eyes will be on Biden. While campaigning, he referred to the Israel-Palestine conflict and renewed his commitment to the two-state solution.
I'll continue to champion the rights of Palestinians and Israelis to have a state of their own, as I have for decades, each of them a state of their own.
Meanwhile, a revival of the 2015 Iran nuclear deal could also be in the offing. Tensions between the two countries have been at an all-time high ever since Trump unilaterally withdrew from the agreement in 2018 and imposed crippling sanctions on Iran. Biden has promised to return to the accord under which Tehran agreed to curb its nuclear program in exchange for a lifting of sanctions. Biden is also facing calls to overturn the State Department's decision to label Yemen's Houthi rebels as a terrorist organization. The UN says that the decision could trigger a famine the world has not seen for nearly 40 years.